welcome everyone to the January 13, 2026 Pleasant Ridge City Commission meeting. Call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have the roll call?
Mayor Scott,
Here.
Commissioner Budnick,
Here.
Commissioner Lenko,
Here.
Commissioner Perry,
Here.
Commissioner Schmier.
Here.
All right, why don't we start off with public items that are not on the agenda?
Where's Ted?
Anything?
Oh, yeah. I'll start. Hi.
Aye.
My name is Danny Brandt. I've not been to a city commissioner meeting before, so apologies if I don't know exactly how to present this correctly.
Just have to give your address.
Just my address?
Yep.
4 Kensington.
Thank you.
As far as why I'm here to speak today, I think we're all aware of what's been going on across the country and in Minneapolis as of late and the senseless violence that's occurred. And while many of this will be theoretical and not likely to happen in our community, I think it would be a great idea for us to have a plan and understand what we as citizens are allowed to do, what our local law enforcement would do in these situations so we can be prepared should this ever occur to us. So I have a couple things that I want to go through quickly just to get this on your mind, and if questions can be answered, that'd be great. If they need to wait for another time, that's great too. As far as the jurisdiction of ICE, as I understand this, and this was taken from the Michigan Immigrants' Rights Committee that's based in Detroit, my understanding is ICE jurisdiction is they can stop, detain, and arrest people they suspect of being in the U.S. illegally. They can detain U.S. citizens if a person interferes with an arrest, assaults an officer, or they suspect the person of being in the U.S. illegally. The rights of the people that are being stopped by ICE, if ICE is at our houses, we are not required to open the door. Opening the door can be labeled as an invitation in. Law enforcement officers need a search warrant if they're going to enter our homes, and arrest warrants do not grant them legal ability to enter our homes. At workplaces, they must have a warrant from a judge or permission from the employer. In public, they must have a proper order, warrant, or specific facts to stop a person in the street. And at school, they are allowed to enter public areas like parking lots without a warrant, but require a judicial warrant for private spaces. They still must have proper order, warrants, or specific facts to stop a person in public. Based on these facts about ICE's jurisdiction and our rights as citizens of the United States, I want to understand what is the responsibility of Pleasant Ridge local law enforcement. I understand that we don't want Pleasant Ridge local law enforcement and to put anyone in danger. None of our citizens want to be in danger, and that is the fickle situation that we find ourselves in. My first question is Pleasant Ridge or Ferndale partnered with ICE through the 287G program? The 287G program is one that deputizes local police officers on behalf of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Do we know that answer or no?
So any questions that you ask, we would take under advisement.
Okay, all right, that's perfect, I understand. From there, if so, I'd like to petition to end that immediately whenever way we can, and if not, I would like to know what actions Pleasant Ridge law enforcement would take during ICE activity in our community. Does Pleasant Ridge share information such as residency status and real-time surveillance platforms data with ICE? What information do we share with Immigration and Customs Enforcement? Can I count on Pleasant Ridge law enforcement to enforce the laws and protect the rights of this community and those that may be a part of it? If ICE tries to infringe on the rights of persons, documented or undocumented, within our community, I expect Pleasant Ridge law enforcement to be present as a witness at minimum and ideally intervene to stop illegal activity without violence. If I am documenting ICE activity without interfering and ICE attempts to intervene, can I depend on Pleasant Ridge law enforcement to protect my right to do so? That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm John DeForest. I'm at 39 Kensington. This is kind of piggybacking off of Mr. Brandt's conversation. My focus is on how we as a city want to guide our citizens to protest safely and in a way that our police can protect us if there are missteps done by federal agents that we've seen across the country. So I think there's a lot of people in Pleasant Ridge that I'm probably not alone in my thought process, that there's a lot of unrest. And if we do have ICE agents come into our town or Homeland Security or anything, last time they came, I think we were a little bit, I was caught off guard. I was out of town, but I know if that presence is here again, I would like to be able to organize. I would like to be able to do a protest, and I want to be able to do it in a manner that is safe and peaceful, and in a way that our police department can say we can step in and defend our peacefully protesting citizens if necessary. So I know this is it's weird even for me to even be up here having this conversation with you guys. I want to do it the right way. And I want you guys to be comfortable with that guidance. And I think that there's people in our town that sometimes it's tough because they look to you, they look to our police department. And I think that we need more people. I think they need to know that they have people down the block that are going to have their back, that are going to be out, that are going to be helping them share their voice. Like, we have those constitutional rights. And I want our city to be able to do that safely and feel like they can do it safely without feeling scared or intimidated or isolated. And I think this is my go at a first step at that. So that's my ask, and I know that's a general one, but we would take any advisement that the police force and you guys have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those are great questions. Thank you.
Sure, please.
We, clearly this is,
Jake, 18 Fairwood, 100% support them. Also wanted to say we shouldn't have secret police. We have our own police officers trying to hide their identity in vehicles. I know that they wear badges, and that's great, but can we also just clarify that they're not allowed to hide their identity, their badge, or put masks on? I'd prefer if they didn't hide their vehicles at all. They do it in an attempt for traffic enforcement, which I think is not right. But just in terms of, like, we don't allow our own police officers to hide their identity. You know, they always will present their badge and their name on their uniforms as well. But 100%, thank you guys.
Thank you. Yep. Do you want to take a second?
yeah, just real quickly. This is just overlapping jurisdiction, so it's one of those things where ICE has jurisdiction throughout the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
Border Patrol also has jurisdiction here because we're within 100 miles of the border. We did have an incident that happened. We've discussed and been through that, but what happened was an individual who had a judicial warrant, so had been through the legal system, was detained in another community, turned over to Border Patrol. They ended up assaulting the Border Patrol agent and escaping custody. That's the only time that Border Patrol has been in our community, is when that person was on the loose. And they were trying to track him down because at the time we didn't know anything about him or whether he was dangerous or not. Generally speaking, no, we don't share information with ICE or anyone on this. They're on their own with that. Our police know we're not participating in the, I think it's 287 program, that we're not participating in that. So if they show up, it's on their own, and we're doing our own thing here. If you're going to protest, just be smart about it. Don't obstruct streets or sidewalks, clearly. Don't throw anything. Don't even touch a federal officer, because you're under federal felony issues at that point. That's the basics. The situations take on a life of their own, so just keep calm. And if those things do end up happening in Pleasant Ridge, of course, our police will be here. It's not a large place. We'll know what's going on. But just, to just try not to escalate the situation, because nothing good comes of that. But the biggest thing is don't obstruct streets, don't obstruct sidewalks, don't, create an opening for there to be issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's,
The
other than
basics.
that, we can't police ICE.
Mm-hmm.
It's, a reality of unfortunately. And I wish they didn't wear masks, and I wish, all of those things too. But ideally, it won't be an issue here. We did have the one incident where somebody assaulted and escaped a Border Patrol agent. So that's a different, that's a kind of a different situation than what we were otherwise expecting. But I think that's it. We've done nothing with immigration enforcement, cooperated in no way, shared information in no way. So if Chief Reed is in the back, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add to that, but we've been through this, frequently over the last year or so.
Yeah, things have been running the same way since I walked in the door. Well, before I walked in the door, back in 2000. we've been through this. I believe the commission has been advised on, judicial warrants versus administrative warrants. It's almost like when the state police has a civil infraction, I can't arrest for a state police civil infraction unless it is a contempt of court warrant. There's certain things. So everything's been the same. If we have someone that we do encounter that has a judicial detainer, it's gone through the court system, we will call and they may pick up, but that is so few and far between, I can't even tell you when the last one was. But it would have to be a criminal complaint warrant already been through the judicial system and been in front of a judge. So but I'm here for any questions that you may have. So,
All right.
all right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
One more potential dot. I don't want to, but the education. I know the how up in Lansing they just voted. Mark, I don't know if you have any additional context or if now's even the right time. But just kind of tying all the bodies together: Pleasant Ridge, the police, and then the schools. I don't know if that's at all appropriate.
Sorry, I don't at the moment.
Okay.
But no, I can imagine that this will just be a topic that we will have to address, as we have done.
Can I just touch on one more?
Yes, please.
One more thing on the protesting. You hear a lot about assaulting the ICE officers and just assault in general. Just want to kind of let everybody know that assault is not necessarily a punch, a throw. Assault is an unwanted touching of another person. So if that person doesn't want you to touch them, that can be considered an assault. So as far as the protests, I would suggest definitely don't impede any law enforcement. I mean, we encounter that even on our small basis here where we may arrest someone and someone in the car, wants to try to stop that. So don't block the roadway. The sidewalks, if someone's trying to get by, technically can't block the sidewalk, but I wouldn't even get super close. You see a lot of these videos now where people are just getting close to the police officers. Any unwanted touching it can be considered an assault, and at that point, it's a federal felony. I mean, like, you can lie to me and not much is going to happen, but you lie to a federal law enforcement officer, it's a federal charge. With the assaults, it's a whole different ballgame than, our 45th District Court. So my suggestion is use your constitutional right, keep your distance, stay in a safe spot that you can, and just like everything else, you can record law enforcement activities wherever, as long as if you're told to move back or they're in the middle of something, because we do that, and we're like, hey, we need you to move back, we're dealing with this, because we get people that come right up in our face. But if you're on a sidewalk, you're far enough away. We had an incident recently where someone was recording, and we said, hey, could you please move back? He said, why? And they said, well, we're going to release a dog. We're trying to do a track with the dog, and we don't want your scent in with the dog. We want to go here. Just comply as much as you can. Let them know that, you're in a safe spot. That's my main concern on it. So,
Can I do a follow-up? Is there a place that you recommend if we do organize a protest that would be a safe place to do it in Pleasant Ridge versus not? I have never organized a protest, so I don't know. And
I would not recommend in the medians. Kind of treat it like Dream Cruise. Medians get kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I'm not going to tell you where you can or can't protest. I mean, I don't believe we've ever had where we required a permit for a protest, and I don't see any reason why we would. So pop-up protests are fine as long as you're not blocking the road, not blocking someone's ability to move freely on the sidewalk or in the public areas. So,
Thank you.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others? To start off our light 2026 year?
Sorry? Jamie Lyerly, 33 Norwich. On the topic of the schools, I wanted to bring up the fact that we no longer have a school at the corner there, and yet I believe we've still got signage up that indicates we have a school, and I'm wondering what the process is for getting that moved back to what it is, a playground, a administrative building, not a school where there are kids going twice a day in and out thereof.
Crosswalk sign?
Sorry?
The crosswalk sign?
Uh,
What sign
just
says
in
school?
general, I just want to make sure that we've rethought traffic and all that kind of stuff with not having a school there.
Any specifics?
My sense is there's something along Ridge that says school crossing, indicates that that might be a school crossing rather than just a crosswalk. And that's kind of what's in my mind, is that signed crossing right there implies a school. I don't know if it's the, handling the book or something like that. Just encourage a relook at anything that we've got that indicates school.
And we can check with the school district because I think it still is a school, although its current use is an admin building.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not sure that I'm not sure that what they say is what we have to deal with either.
on the
Yeah,
road or
we're
wherever.
still, it's still two separate levels of the government, so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from anyone? All right, I guess we'll go to liaison reports. Commissioner Perry, Arts
Thank you,
Council.
Mayor. So the Arts Council met on, we last met December 17th, and we sort of finalized some decisions on an artist for the mural down at the DPW barn in Gainsborough Park. And so we'll start sort of talking about concepts and things like that. The artist, John Donovan, is going to meet with us on January 21st at our next meeting right here at 4:30. And then we are also working on the Super Fun Art Party Part 3. And so that will be in, I do not remember the date. It's in February or March? March.
It's March.
And you will hear more about it. So it has been such a success of really bringing out all of the artists that we didn't even know we had in the community. So it's been very exciting. So we'll have that, and I'll keep you updated on dates and how to enter. But yeah, it's the beginning of some really cool conversations. So it'll
And
be
if you
fun.
are an artist in town and have not exhibited at the Super Fun Art Party yet,
And even if you have,
and even if you have, reach out to our Arts Council liaison.
yeah. I am happy anytime aperry@cityofpleasantridge.org. You can find me, and we can, or on Facebook, and we will find the path for you guys to show your work. It's a really cool way to see all of our neighbors together. Thank you.
Thank you. Public schools. I think we have public schools here.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. Mark De Laverne, Ferndale Public School Board. We're back in school. And, this is a time where we're looking to, reestablish routines, supporting schools and staff, and just maintaining momentum in the second semester as we get everybody coming back. Last night was the senior pinning ceremony at Ferndale High School. It's the first time I had been there. Really nice to just see families and students sort of being able to celebrate this last semester while they're in high school. Is very, very nice.
Is that what it is?
Yep. Just the parents pin, and they do a little pledge. It was
that's
a very,
great.
very nice ceremony for a lot of families, and then a little reception. So it was very, very nice. January 28th at 6:00 p.m. will be the State of the District. It'll be held at Ferndale Upper. Invitations should be coming out to you all, but obviously everyone from the community is invited to attend. As opposed to Superintendent Hibbler just going up and reciting all the good things that are happening, really trying to make this a space for a lot of listening. So all of us board members will be at tables. There'll be opportunities for not just us talking to people, but for everybody there to talk to us to give their feedback. So obviously, lots of great stuff happening. We will be sharing the great stuff as well, but want to make sure that people have the ability to talk with all of us. And just want to kind of update on a few other exciting things that are happening. Right now, we're in active conversations with the United Way for Southeastern Michigan regarding a potential partnership focused on student well-being, family stability, and access to community-based supports. Additionally, we are partnering with the Black Male Educators Alliance to support mentorship and leadership development for students at University High School and through Ferndale Upper through the Youth Development Leadership Program. And then we have two big events coming up. One is the kindergarten open house on January 22nd. If you are thinking about kindergarten, highly recommend you come to Ferndale. But the open house is a great opportunity, particularly for parents who have not had their kids in the school district to be able to meet the principal, meet superintendent, sort of see, really get comfortable to see what a great opportunity it is to send your kids to Ferndale Lower. And then on January 29th, we'll be having a community blood drive at University High School all day during the day. So lots of stuff just kind of ramping up as we get into this second semester. Any questions? Yes.
Hey, couple. So definitely endorse FECC and Miss Heidi. They're great school. I think you stepped over the lower L. Isn't that the 22nd? Or sorry, the upper L. The open house. I think it's after that. Or,
I only have the 22nd, so it might be not. But yeah, 22nd
There's
is
an upper
at
and a lower.
Ferndale Lower.
Got
Yes.
it. All right,
Yes.
cool. And then finally, to these gentlemen's points earlier, like, has there been much talked about, like, the interactions with ICE at Ferndale Public
Yeah, so
Schools?
Superintendent Hibbler has been really proactive on communicating with our policies on ICE, as well as even last week, just the rumors of it, to just communicate with the community of things that are going. She's been fantastic on just being very clear on sort of what our process is, as well as anything that we are hearing to be able to share with all the parents.
And are we aware of it, like, any recent, because, I mean, they'd alluded to some toolkits or anything, like, are there any, like, I don't know, how to interact or, like, any of this?
We have a really clear process, right? That nothing happens in the schools. They have to go to the administrative building. Like, we're not pulling kids out of schools themselves. So if something happens and they have to search the water, like, it's a very clear that they don't just get to go into schools. Like, this is how they do it. And all the principals know if that were to happen, they're to be redirected to the administrative building. And then if the student has to come out, it will not be them pulling them out of, like, there's a process to make sure all that happens, and they have to have warrants to do all that. So happy to share that. But yeah, in the I think it was early end of last year. She started that communication really early on. Her leadership on that's been top notch.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Lenko on planning.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so again, Planning Commission DDA has not met since the last time since we met. So
Yes.
January 26th in these chambers at 7 o'clock, all are welcome.
Thank you.
And accessory dwelling units is top of the pile, but what else? And Cambridge, I don't know if, has there been any update on Cambridge, the building?
No revised plans have been submitted, so
Gotcha.
looking
All right.
at this point, like, probably not.
So
for that.
ADU, they're quarterly meetings, so I encourage people to come if you're interested. Few and far between.
Thank you.
That's all I got. Yep, thank
All
you.
right. Commissioner Smear.
Thank you, Mayor. The Historical Museum will be open this Saturday, so it's always the third Saturday of the month, 10 until noon. So please feel free to come into the museum, check out your folder, bring pictures, all of the stuff. Historical actually usually meets the first Wednesday of the month, but because of the new year is meeting tomorrow, and one of the topics that they will be discussing is upcoming events for the new year. There won't be a home and garden tour this year, so they're going to be planning some additional events. I don't know what that's going to look like yet, but as soon as we know, keep an eye out because that will be promoted. And then the last thing is, I know there'll be some openings on historical coming in March, and I think on some other commissions too. So anyone who wants to get involved, I know rec will have openings. I don't know about, but if anyone wants to get involved, fill out an application. You can get it here, you can do it online, but it really is a great way to get involved, to meet neighbors, and it's fun. And that is all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least,
Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Budnick.
Thank you. First, we have a mystery field trip day that the rec department is putting on. This is Monday, January 19th, which is MLK Day, and this is for Residents that are 7 and older, there's a $75 fee that includes 2 field trip locations and lunch. Space is limited for this one, so jump on it. And this is an indoor and outdoor event, so prepare for that. Next up, we have an Elmwood Cemetery presentation, and this is Tuesday, January 27th at 6:15. Doors open at 6, and this is free to attend. However, you must pre-register so we can account for everybody. Step through the gates of one of Detroit's oldest cemeteries with Amy Elliott Bragg, a longtime Elmwood tour guide and cemetery lover who will share a personal history of her fascination with cemeteries and present a general history and future of Elmwood and its place in a broader story about American burial trends and landscape design ideas in the 19th century. Whew. It's an interesting topic.
And it is an interesting cemetery.
Yeah. So register in person or online for this. Polish and Press Party. This is Thursday, January the 29th at 5:30, and the cost is $40. Design your own press on nails with a Valentine's Day polish, excuse me.
Sorry, I was like, Polish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
As a Polish person,
I wondered for a second there. I'm like,
we
what?
got pierogies and kielbasa too.
I know, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
sorry. Thank
Polish.
you. Thank you.
That one in the picture.
This class is designed for ages. No, thank you. 11 and
All right,
older.
let's have a look.
My girls, they do my nails quite frequently, so they're in order right
Polish
now.
your nails all of the
They
time.
do. And luckily, the instructor, she might be Polish, but she does nails very well. Isabel Guerra, licensed nail technician. So that sounds like a lot of fun for ages 11 and older for that one. And then we have SAT practice test. This is Saturday, January the 17th, 10:30 to 12 at the Huntington Woods Library, a good old partner of ours. And this is for teens in grades 9 through 12. So bring a laptop. The practice test will be online, and you can view your scores at sylvanprep.com, and registration for this is required as well. And then we have Kaya in the back. They're already looking for people for the summer. This is wild. Yeah, it's. Are you looking for a fun and rewarding summer job position? Rec department is hiring for camp, pool, swim team positions. So they're getting ready to go for this, and the application deadline is end of March, so March 31st at 3 p.m. And speaking of the swim team, registration is already open. So deadline to register is the same day, so 31st of March at 3 p.m. Check the team's webpage for up-to-date information, and that's at www.pleasantridgepiranhas.com. And a couple more here. We got adult exercise classes now are back in full swing, so check the website and Facebook page for those class updates. And I don't think we got the Ridgers yet, but they should be here any moment. So Shawnee and Kaya said those are on the way, and same with the magnets. So, yep.
I need the magnet.
Yeah, we need the magnet. And always can check online to see what's going on, so feel free to check that out. And then the Rec Commission is, as Commissioner Schmier alluded to, we are looking for one person. Kaya, it's one person or vacant? We have one vacancy
Yes.
for the Rec? Okay.
Yep. And then the Ridgers are at the rec center. They should be to your doorsteps any day now, but we did get them in, so if you're eager to have one, you can just go up to the rec center and pay us a visit.
Thank you. And we, the Rec Commission does meet end of the month. We meet the 28th, the big room, 4 Ridge, and that's at 7 o'clock. So if you want to come join us, we will be there. Did I miss anything? Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, time for governmental reports. Thanks, Mark.
Rather than give you doom and gloom this year, or this, this year too. Just figured I would just introduce our newest officer to the commission and to the city. So if Mark could come on up. This is Mark Farhat. Mark came to us after 2 decades at another department. He left to go into the private sector and decided, nope, I don't like the private sector. Coming back to police work, so we were more than happy to bring him on. Mark has numerous connections within the community through his kids' school. A lot of people in town go to the same school. So we're just happy to have him, and this is a kind of a crazy one, but with Mark's 23 years of experience, that now puts us over 200 years of experience
Wow.
in the Pleasant Ridge Police Department. So
Crazy.
A lot of people say you got a bunch of old guys. I say no, we have experienced officers.
Right. Well
and-
seasoned.
And also,
That's
I don't
right.
say guys anymore because we have Officer Lipa, so I have to watch
Yeah.
myself and say no, our officers. So, just wanted to introduce Mark to you, and you can torture him
Thank
with any
you.
questions that you like while he's up here.
Yeah, wonderful. Yes, I love questions.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's good to be here. I'll just say that I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and it's been fantastic since I came on board. I've worked with a lot of different people, and since coming here, everyone's been very professional and very welcoming of me, and I really appreciate how everyone's made me feel, and this is a good fit for me, and I look forward to a number of years here.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Beyond that, you guys are streamlining on the meeting this month, so I don't want to interrupt it. So I'm just going to say, lock your doors, lock your car doors, lock your doors to the home when you go to bed at night, and also do not think that you are bothering us. Call us. That's what we are here for. That's why the officers are on the road. If it seems trivial, call us. It might not be. If you get a email that says that you owe money and you don't know what to do, call us. I just heard another dispatch, I believe it was yesterday, of someone had gone to a Bitcoin ATM, and luckily the person who worked in the store knew that something was up and was like, why are you trying to make all these transactions? What's going on? And he called, I don't want to say what department it was, I can't remember, but called, and they responded, and they were like, no, she was getting scammed, and she was sending her life savings through Bitcoin. So call us. If it doesn't feel right, if you're just unsure, call us. Our officers will come out and see what we can do for you. So,
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
any questions? Anything I can help with?
No, we're good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Consent agenda. Nothing exciting this month. May we have a motion?
Mayor, I move that the consent agenda be approved.
Second.
All right. Any comments? May we have a vote?
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmier,
Yes.
Commissioner Budnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenko,
Yes.
Mayor Scott.
Yes, the motion carries. Then we move on to our fencing ordinance amendment.
We are codifying a requirement in our local ordinance. We required this at construction sites through other means, but we've had to actually enforce some of these provisions more recently, and putting these in our code of ordinances explicitly will help that process. The ordinance will require that any construction site be enclosed by a 6-foot tall chain link fence or equal if approved by the building official, and that also it be screened with an opaque green or black fabric mesh, and that all gates be secured in a closed rigid position and locked when construction is not occurring on site. Standard. These apply when there's an open basement or some level of construction that we don't want people wandering onto the site for public safety reasons. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but the process is hold a public hearing and then you can act on the proposed ordinance.
Thank you. Were there any questions for Jim before I open the public hearing? No? All right, I will open the public hearing. Any thoughts, comments? I'll close the public hearing. And I guess we need a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve the proposed construction site fencing ordinance amendments.
Second?
All right, may we have a vote?
Commissioner Perry,
Yes.
Commissioner Lenko,
Yes.
Commissioner Budnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmier,
Yes.
Mayor Scott.
Yes, the motion carries. Yeah, this will help for those that have had some comments on a particular property. This should help to keep it orderly and less than display. How's that for?
There
It's a
you go.
full-time job.
It's a full-time job. All right, we'll move on to our conversation about short-term rentals.
Yes. In the packet is a memo from City Attorney Need, and I think I'm going to turn it over to Greg.
Good evening. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
At the last commission meeting, there was some discussion about the proper approach to take with short-term rentals, and Commissioner Budnick pointed out a couple of communities that have actually adopted ordinances within the last year. that would ban short-term rentals in their entirety within that community. One from Grosse Pointe Woods and one by Dearborn Heights, and you have copies of those ordinances. In discussing this with the city manager, I do have a concern that a total ban could leave the city open to an exclusionary zoning challenge. There is both a part of the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act and case law that says there are constraints on a community that seeks to totally prohibit a land use within its boundaries. Doesn't mean that, it's always fatal, but it does allow for a challenge. We thought that a reasonable approach would be to prohibit short-term rentals within the single-family residential zoning districts, but allow them in the multiple districts and the commercial districts. By having some property where it might be allowed, it will allow withstanding the exclusionary zoning argument, yet, as I understood a lot of the commission opinions last month, it was preservation of the character of the single-family residential neighborhoods and the effect short-term rentals might have on that was driving at least a partial prohibition. So that would be one of our recommendations if the commission wishes to go forward. If you do want to still ban them entirely, as I indicated, I do prefer the Dearborn Heights approach. Grosse Pointe Woods, it was brief. Sure. I will give them credit for that.
Very clear.
But I think there are some gaps in that kind of an approach. So would be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Anyone have questions?
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, I was. Cool. I appreciate all of this. And the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, if I'm understanding it correctly, it's that, my big highlights and stars was that term demonstrated need.
Correct.
And it seems that when in your memo too, you said we would have probably a good chance of fighting any sort of potential lawsuit. I mean, what does that look like? I mean, I guess that demonstrated need to me kind of stood out because, does Pleasant Ridge have a demonstrated need to have
right
places for people to sleep overnight?
In just generally speaking, in an exclusionary zoning case, you look at, is there a need for that particular land use either in the community or can it be addressed by some properties outside the community? And all of these exclusionary zoning cases really turn on the specific facts at issue. The problem with them is that they can be expensive to defend because it's not, the law in this case isn't as clear cut as one would hope. There are several cases and they kind of all turn on a particular limited set of facts, so you can't sometimes draw broad conclusions as to what's allowed and what's not allowed. But yeah, as I put on my memo, Commissioner Schmier, I do believe that the city would have some good defenses, but you also don't want to be in a position where you have to spend a lot of money defending something. If there is an alternative approach that would allow you to not run that risk.
To avoid. And I don't know if I should or could even ask this, but I'd be interested to know just in a concept, what is expensive? Again, that's not a question really to ask here, but it is something that I'm thinking of, when we talk about expensive, what is that? Are there numbers kind of associated with that? Again, we don't need to share it at this moment.
Right.
But
I can get that to the city manager, and he can discuss that.
Another way to approach that is, what's our budget for legal defense? Do we have a line item for legal defense?
We have a city attorney line item, yes.
But that encompasses all of that. I'm saying to defend against policy that we've enacted. It's not that
was
itemized.
just being rolled into the annual.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we haven't had to
Yeah,
defend anything.
totally.
So
Do you feel comfortable giving a ballpark? Is it 10 hours or 100 hours?
No, it's certainly not 10 hours.
Sure. Okay. So it's probably closer to 100 or 1,000 hours, maybe.
No, I wouldn't say. Again, it's really tough.
Yeah, but lawyers make
to do that.
Sometimes they make $50 or $500 an hour. So multiply, I don't know. So 1,000. I don't know. We have a $3 million budget. Okay.
Well, and again, I I never want any municipal client to make decisions based upon purely
cost
on
of
budget
legal fees.
considerations. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
lawsuits are partly the cost of doing business sometimes. And if you think you're right and you get sued, you have to defend yourself.
Right.
Right,
And
right.
here's the thing with, this is a fairly new type of problem, of issue that has come up over the past X amount of years. And so this is a new thing that cities are really looking at. Because we are such a unique personality of a city, you know, we are in this interesting spot where I think the benefit is we have so many places around us that could serve the same sort of purpose. So when it gets into that demonstrated need, I think that's where you get into, you know, there are many places close by that could solve that. One of the things we were asking too, is there a way to put a hold or a moratorium on any new rentals as this is being decided?
Short-term rentals.
Short-term rentals.
Right, okay.
Or, I mean, I don't know,
I think
because
they're not classified.
we
How
are
do you do that?
silent on certain parts of this.
No, sorry.
My guess would be that we would have to define a short-term rental in order to put a moratorium on one.
Just generally speaking.
May I ask?
I just want to answer, I'm sorry, not to cut off, just to answer Commissioner Perry's question. The Michigan law does allow communities to enact moratoriums, but they have to be very specific, they have to be very detailed, and they have to be enacted with the intent of promptly taking action to correct whatever problem the moratorium seeks to, or the issue that it seeks to address. So,
I think we're
yes,
sort
you
of
can
doing
do it,
that.
but it's not something that, it requires some care in crafting it to make sure it's legal.
Okay.
And also, I'm not sure how we would police that. How would we know, I mean, if somebody was offering something for short-term rental?
Yeah,
We don't have any mechanisms in place to,
I think the process of applying a moratorium is the same work as creating the ordinance.
Totally.
Like you have to define the policing, you have to define what tools you need, you have to set some kind of limit. All of those things are things that we would do, whether the number is 0 or greater than 0.
right.
And creating the ordinance is my thought. I could
One
be
of the
wrong.
issues with doing this whole thing is we would have to subscribe to one of these services, and it's probably gonna cost us $8,000 or $9,000 a year, that monitors and identifies when things are listed online. Because, you know, we can't identify all the properties that are being listed. And in fact, now you go on some of these sites and they don't show you the exact location. So we would have to subscribe to something like that to enforce a moratorium. But then also, is it a new one or not? You know, has this, if something is listed online, then how do we determine if that's a new one that's never been listed before? Or if it's been listed before, then does that, because we haven't even discussed the non-conforming, the
Exactly.
existing non-conforming protection under law. So, you know, this is a little different than a moratorium on new construction of some kind. Usually a moratorium relates to building something. Is that,
That's pretty much it,
Yeah.
yes. I had a community adopt one a couple months ago on data centers because, you know,
I
it's
saw that.
something that's a very new land use that's not really appropriately
right, requires
addressed.
building permits, requires
Correct.
approvals by the city.
Correct.
So putting a moratorium on something that currently does not require any approvals whatsoever it's fundamentally more challenging to figure that out. So as part of the process of doing something with short-term rentals, we would also be creating a process by which they would be licensed. We don't have that right now. So given that you can put your house on Airbnb tomorrow and rent it out to somebody, and we have no process defined, I was thinking about this. It's hard to, it would be hard for us to uphold or oversee a moratorium.
Yeah. I came to the same conclusion. I said it would be nice to just say no more, but we have to know what is and define whatever as existing already, those that are licensed rentals and unlicensed rentals or
Right.
whatever state they're in.
Because we do
before we
have,
could put something in place.
yes, and as if we only allow these in certain districts, non-single family districts, our zoning ordinance and state law has existing non-conforming use protections. So anyone who's doing it now is going to be able to continue. But we have to come up with a process by which we identify the people who are doing it now when we're enacting the ordinance. So that's a whole process we're gonna have to go through to implement this in addition to, you know, all those other things we're going to have to do to stand up these set of regulations.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
May I go? All right, yeah, so a couple things. I did have a couple notes, and I got excited when Mayor mentioned about the definitions, because that's something that we brought up one or two times ago, and I noticed, like, this wasn't, like, the document you sent wasn't something that we could, like, adopt today. It was more like just a memo and notes, but a couple thoughts I want to make sure we don't lose would be like, going back to definitions, because, like, having the same set of notes, having, like, a common set of stats would be super helpful. But, like, what are we even trying to do? Like, what are we solving for? So, like, we had talked about permanent versus occasional or rare. So the way that the first draft was written, it's all like one thing. So whether you buy a property for the sole purpose of renting it out as an Airbnb or VRBO or whatever, or like if one time in the course of living in a house for 50 years, you rent your house for a week, both of those parties are treated exactly the same under the language. And it's like, they're not the same. I think taking away people's property rights in such a broad stroke is not really what our job is. Our job's meant to defend freedom and not restrict it, and to preserve property rights like where it's reasonable, right? So, and then the other thing that's been coming out is like local versus investor. Going to the set of facts, we don't really have an established set of, like, do we have 5 Airbnbs or 50 or 12 or 15? Like there isn't like a clear concrete number. We don't have that. And in a lot of these discussions, people are talking about these like mysterious outside investors and BlackRock and stuff like that, which I don't know if we have any of those, to be honest.
Well, we certainly have investors
Sure, but
that
like,
do
these
not
out of
live
town,
that do
right,
not
right,
live
so
in the
they're-
city.
and then they're characterized as so like they Minneapolis investors or New York investors or like Troy or Grand Rapids. Like, and that's the thing. Like, the more information we have, we know the picture. So I think people are using this boogeyman that doesn't. I don't know. Having one set of facts would be a useful thing. So, anyways, yeah, and data collection. I think if we had a better picture, we'd know exactly what it is we're trying to do. But as we move forward in this conversation, I'd like to see something inserted that defines permanent versus occasional or rare, and then also, if there even is a point in drawing a distinction between local versus out-of-town investors. We're all certainly more comfortable with local people we know. I don't know how the law works in that regard. But those are my points. And sorry, just to close it out, the definition is like,
that's a
we
tough
need
distinction
definition,
to
man.
draw.
We need to
Right,
define
because,
what we're
I
doing.
mean, it's the use of the property as a short-term rental that zoning seeks to regulate, not
Right.
ownership of property.
Right.
So-
If a person is in Florida for 3 months of the year and uses Airbnb to rent the house out for those 3 months of the year, is that a short-term rental if there are 27 people renting the house out for 3 months? That's something we have to define. There's no rule book for that, but we have to define whether the owner is living there or not living there, if they're just away for the winter, and if they use this service to pay for their mortgage while they're gone. It's like those details, and even in the Dearborn Heights one, the way they wrote it, I mean, I could rent my garage out for 2 weeks and actually, because they don't distinguish between the dwelling and the accessory dwelling,
Yes.
I could have a problem. So there are all these little rules. We do it by calling it bedrooms rather than dwellings, but there are these rules that that make this challenging.
Make it challenging, but certainly in the last meeting we had when we talked about this, some of these things we did talk about. I mean, I remember having the conversations about short-term rentals is short-term rental, regardless of whether you are an investor or whether it is your primary home. I mean, those, and the draft ordinance that we received last time did, again, I mean, it essentially covered that by saying, again, short-term rental is short-term rental, regardless of whether it was an investor or a primary. So it is something that we have not obviously confirmed or agreed upon, but it was included in that initial.
Oh, I read it. I know that, like, it lumped. That's how I started too, Katie. I said it's
Yeah.
all lumped together. So whether you're an investor or an individual who lives here for 50 years and rent their house one time, they're treated the same. That's exactly
Right,
what I
and-
said.
and
our
I-
interpretation's the same. One I think is extreme, and one I think is not extreme. I think one is reasonable and one is extreme.
Mayor, if I might.
Yeah.
And thank you, Attorney Need. It was very helpful just reading through what what you put in the memo prepared. The city fully respects property rights. And at the same time, property rights have always coexisted alongside reasonable, common sense regulation to protect neighborhood character, housing availability, and public safety. The short-term rentals are a distinct land use with community-wide impacts, and it's appropriate to entertain setting limits on that. So there's definitely a distinction and a difference. And zoning has always distinguished between residential lodging use. I get that, and it's picking winners and losers is a whole nother thing. And I think it's crystal clear what we're discussing. It's short-term rentals. We were talking 30 days or less, and I see the Commissioner Lenko brought up some caveats, which I think are super important to address if this is something we're going to go forward, whether it's someone renting out their house once or Mayor, in your trope, you leave for 3 months. I think those are things that we need to accommodate for. But the contingency that short-term rentals have a distinct difference is really what we're here to solve for. Mm-hmm. And so the moratorium, you said that it sounds like that's probably not a feasible way to go.
I don't believe so.
Okay. And we would need to step one before that, just determine or describe what we're even looking to do. Mm-hmm. What constitutes a short-term rental, et cetera.
And to Commissioner Lanko's points, just to make sure that we are addressing the issues that brought us here in the first place, is it, I boiled this down to maybe 2 or 3 things. We want to make sure that short-term rental homes are maintained in a fashion that is in character with the neighborhood. And there's, I think, a perceived risk, maybe an actual risk, that these homes might actually require more diligence to keep in a good condition.
Right.
That isn't true for many short-term rental homeowners, but there are instances where you might just see trash cans out more, or the grass isn't cut as frequently, or and this sort of gets to whether the owner is present or absent, how the place is maintained. Of course, we have issues with people that own their homes and don't do that anyway, but that's one of the things. The second is that there's might be an opportunity for more different behavior, because now you have people that are renting a house that they don't own. They're only there for a night, and they may do things that we don't want people to do all the time. It's not unusual for people that own homes to throw a party, and maybe the party gets loud and we call the cops, and they happen to be the people that live there. It's happened in Pleasant Ridge. I think I've been to at least one of those parties, admittedly. So it happens. But there's more of a risk that it might happen in a place where you have lots of people coming in and out. So that's the notion of like reducing the number of days or increasing the number of days that people have to rent or something to take care of that issue. And then the third one is, I think people are just generally uncomfortable with the fact that there are lots of different people coming in and out of the house. It feels out of character with the neighborhood. I don't know if that's a real or perceived issue, but I think that's another thing. If there's something I've missed, please let's get it out in the open, just so that we know what issues we're trying to address, so that
it's the character, right?
Yeah.
I mean, having people coming and going changes your relationship with your neighbors. So I think it does change the relation. Yes, the character, the community feel, that relationship, which is what I'm hearing from people who are living around them. So, and number 4, the character or the neighborly.
But is the character the people coming in and out? So the frequency that people are coming in and out? I'm trying to
I think
make
it's the
sure
lack
that-
of a relationship with, or the lack. I think it's the lack of a relationship, because you constantly have people coming in and out. So you don't have a neighbor. You don't have a consistent neighbor.
Which our community is very much, we have focused for, a long time. I mean, I think the community has always sort of focused on being a community. And we are zoned residential and not business. And, these are businesses that are in the community. And, you have everything from extra policing because of parking situations that inevitably are, I mean, we see it on the Wellesley one all the time of just, I can't understand how they want to park in such crazy ways all the time. But, it's so much more enforcement, and it does change the character of what's happening next door. you know, and there's a whole circumference, you know, it's not just like it impacting just a couple different homes around it, is there is a whole radius around these homes because of, like you're saying, different behavior. A lot of times they are larger gatherings of people versus it just being there for accommodations for the night.
And it's, in my view, it's the challenge I have is that to distinguish between a short-term rental and a home that is not a short-term rental that has the same behavior. So there's nothing requiring homeowners to know each other. Sometimes new people move in and they get to know you and they don't get to know you. So are you asking for a behavior from short-term rental inhabitants that we are not also requiring of people that just normally live here?
I think what you're doing is you are opening up that, when it is just a neighbor that maybe is not a, you know, that is not like a super neighborly neighbor, that's one thing. But when you're saying, okay, well, we're putting this business in place, and so you're going to have this perpetual, we are breaking sort of the construct of a community by putting this in place.
And we've
May I interrupt just real quick? Because you keep conflating the two, the business versus the short term. Because remember, like in a short term rental, it could be Snowbird renting their house as they go to Florida for 3. So that's not a business. That would be a homeowner renting their house as a short term rental. And then if somebody has a permanent short term rental, then that would be operating like a business. So I just want to be careful with that distinction.
The impact on the neighbors, I mean, because if they're doing it as a short-term rental versus like a
Oh, I'm not
3-month
arguing.
rental-
I'm just drawing a distinction between the two. Like, not knowing who's next to you, I could see it being uncomfortable. Knowing who's next to you, I could see that being perhaps more comfortable, depending on who that person is, maybe.
I think we've heard from a lot of neighbors, and it's already up, you know, for the last 2 meetings. So it feels like this conversation right now is kind of conversations we've already had a little bit. I think that I actually do, just to kind of go back, I do have one clarifying question. Sorry, I'm kind of skipping back, but when we talk about zoning, so moving it to commercial or multifamily zones, I know planning is talking about ADUs. And in the future, if we do, I don't know what's going to happen with ADUs, but does that change the zoning at all? Does the single family zoning change? I mean, is this
No.
something that we need to prepare for?
No.
No? Okay. So that was my clarifying question. And in terms of this, I think a lot of these things we have talked about already. So in terms of a path forward, I'd like to try to define what our path forward is. And I think the question is, are we looking really to pursue a full ban or an ordinance that limits? And
Let's go back to the facts, though, before we start on the
May,
ideation.
just for a second. Sorry. So, ordinance was presented in December.
Right.
What of that? Is it just the limit that is a question in some minds and everything else is okay? Or are there other things that address the 4 things we just talked about?
So at the
Just
last,
to get to your point.
right? No. At the last meeting, I actually, and I can go back and look at my notes, but I did have some comments regarding that ordinance. So that ordinance, as was written, I did have just a couple questions and additions I would like to see on that particular version. I am also open to continuing this conversation about a more a bigger ban or even a zoning ban. You know, or not a zoning ban, but like more zoning restriction.
Defining zones.
Defining zones. So based on that, I thought it was a great start, and I did have some comments on that version of it. I don't know if I am okay with that existing version, but I did have comments on that version of it.
And then I, just for record, I asked a couple of questions about, I called them clearinghouses. I don't know what else to call Airbnb, the short-term rental clearinghouse. The ordinance as written does not address the businesses that offer the service, like that where you post your short-term rental at Airbnb or VRBO or the others.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't clear to me, and so I asked the question, is it possible to somehow regulate how they operate in Pleasant Ridge? because that's another avenue. So
Yeah.
to me, that is another piece of the puzzle that may not bear out, it may not be possible, but I wanted to understand that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Yes, to the other side of the
Yeah,
coin.
because I do know.
Like,
Yeah,
we could
that's
charge
great.
them $50,000 to operate in Pleasant Ridge. I've just made up a number. Then that may help pay for whatever increases in policing or Granicus or whatever that we have to do to. You're not Granicus, but you would buy it. But to help make this happen, whatever number we pick.
In terms of moving forward, I mean, how do we move forward with this when I know that there is not an agreement amongst everyone on the best path forward? What is the best next step?
So my recommendation to this body is if you have things that you would like to see in the ordinance presented in December, to give them to Jim. We can take another look at because I think the ordinance as written is actually better than the Dearborn Heights ordinance that I read. I think it was put together better. But there are things that any of us might find that we want to change, whether the number is 0 or greater than 0, because you still have to define what a
Right,
short-term
right.
rental is and what a bedroom is and all of those things that he does in this ordinance in order to get to whatever the number is. Is
Well,
there
no
another?
matter what, there's a zoning ordinance amendment, because this is a land use, so that has to be amended into the zoning ordinance, and then there's the licensing ordinance, both of which have been presented, both of which can be adjusted. Based on tonight, at the last meeting, you'd asked that we look at these other ordinances that ban in whole or part, and so we've done that. Guidance on the zoning approach would be really what we need, because then we can bring back the ordinances for a final review before we start the adoption process. With the adoption process, the planning commission is going to have a role, because they have to have a public hearing and they have to recommend the zoning ordinance piece of that to you. So, you'll kind of be giving them an ordinance for their input as well. So I think what we need tonight, rather than focusing on, I mean, if you have any guidance on the licensing ordinance, we can talk about that tonight, but that will be coming back once we have input on if we want to restrict this to the multiple family and commercial districts, possibly also the R2 district, which is a duplex district. So I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor.
Sorry.
You're fine. This is something that is very important, and I don't think we want to rush in trying to balance that with the fact that there are other factors at play, and investors move quicker than people do with things. And while we're in a very great market now, we never can predict that. So I'm just trying to balance it. I don't think we rush. I have nothing more. This is something I really need to continue to think about, and I want to get this right.
Yeah.
And come out with the best possible outcome. So I just wanted to say that is something, there is still the fact, those two kind of opposing facts, that investors do move quicker. So if a market does turn, who knows? They could gobble it up, and the likelihood of Airbnb's proliferating on a particular place increases. Data shows when you have several, you get more. So if that is just something that naturally happens from the research I've done.
And some good news. I asked the question: are we seeing more code enforcement issues? Are we seeing, calls to police? And we're not at the moment. So I agree. We want to be careful in how we write this, so we have the time. Although spring is approaching, thankfully.
Right.
Yeah. Was there anything else anyone had? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off earlier.
I don't think
Were
you
you
cut
good?
me off.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
good. I mean, yeah, we touched on all the key points, and circling back to what Jim was saying, I shared with Greg earlier the definitions. I agreed with you on the definitions. And then the other one was that penalty too. Those two penalties seemed kind of lopsided or imbalanced. One was I guess breaking the rule, but the other one was filing a false claim. I thought those two penalties should be more similar in scope and size, but yeah.
Was there any other research that anybody wanted, just so that we get it all out of the?
Well, Pleasant Ridge research. I'd love to have an accurate pic. We're dealing with anecdotes and if you remember the old Colbert, the truthiness. We're dealing a lot in our gut. I don't know how many Airbnbs we have. Do we know how many Airbnbs we have?
We've identified maybe 8.
But, and
And
it's not a sticky number, right? So
It-
it's like,
it
I'll give you a
and
caveat.
how
on
many of
that
those are
8.
owned by residents? How many of those are owned by outside investors? How many of those?
I'll give you a caveat on that 8. It depends on how you define what a short-term rental is.
Okay.
So if we say that a short-term rental is a certain number of days and a certain number of times of, of nights of rental, I think Airbnb would give you a different number.
Okay.
Like if you say it's no more, if it's every night that's rented, they'll give you the exact number of nights that have been rented in the city and tell you the average is, I forget what it is, 2 point something nights per stay and
So the ones that have persisted, there's really 3.
yeah.
Okay, so there's
Colby's,
Yep.
Wellesley, and Fairwood.
Fairwood.
Okay.
And those are
And
the people we're hearing-
Fairwood and Wellesley were kind of unique situations where somebody got a house below market price.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that the economics work out.
And when was the last of those 3 purchased?
I don't know, I'd have to look and see about purchasing, but it's been years.
It's been years.
So,
yeah.
and so the 2, Wellesley and Fairwood, are owned by, I guess you could call them investors, but they're not.
Yeah, they're local. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
and then
it's,
so
it's not Apollo or BlackRock. It's
Totally.
people who,
So then Chief ran us that report in October or whatever, and there was like 60 lines, and some of those were just like innocuous, like the lawn's not cut or the garbage cans aren't dragged in. And then there were some that were like that party that kind of brought everybody to talking about this.
There have been other incidents too. This is not,
Oh, you're interrupting
I know
me.
many neighbor,
Yeah, but like I mean, I agree, and we agree on some of this too. Where I was like asking for the last 5 years for like a tracking thing, and you and I agreed on this when we met at the DPW yard. Like you brought up short-term rentals like 18 months ago, and it was like there's no data on it. We don't know what we're talking about yet, and it's like we should like track these and know these. So I guess it kind of gets back more to like that. It's like having this data would be sweet to like actually know what it is we're writing a law about.
So here's what I would say. So I've thought about that. Sorry, I've thought about this, and I'm still back to these 3 or 4 things. And one of these things is, what does it mean for the community to feel neighborly? And I don't know we're going to find data points to describe that neighborly feeling.
Totally.
So
And-
some of
and
this
I
is
grew
going to
up in
be a
this
gut
neighborhood, and
decision on what we think is right for the
Commission didn't
neighborhood.
craft our community. Like community came by like generations of people being welcoming and cool in this neighborhood. Like it just
Right.
it didn't happen by like edict from City Hall. Like it happened by neighbors being cool with other neighbors. Like it's an organic grassroots thing. It's not something that can be forced or regulated in some ways.
So
It can certainly be like framed in rules, but like
So all that I'm
Yeah,
asking
people be
is if there's any more homework that you would like Jim or Greg to do so that we can, so they can begin to sort of put something together that we can look at again,
Well, and
let's let them know.
I'm sorry, I was just going down that funnel. So we started at like 60, and then there was like there's like there's like less than 10% of these incidents that like would even warrant the ticket. So like in the course of 24 months that we have data for, there's a handful of okay.
I
so-
would like to say that, number one, we've had a lot of neighbors over the last couple meetings who live near these Airbnbs that have come in and expressed their concern. So Pleasant Ridge is a small place, so if we're talking about 3, those 3 have huge effects on those streets that we've heard from people. Not all of them, not all of the time, but we have heard from the people. And I will also say, after hearing from those people, I believe it was even at the last meeting where you had said, well, I wouldn't want one next to me. So I think we have to acknowledge that right now we don't have those people talking, but I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we have heard from a lot
or
of
the
neighbors.
half dozen people that came and spoke in support. And like, and if you're going to hold me to that, I'll give all sorts of conditionals. I wouldn't want a permanent Airbnb and owned by an outside investor next to, but like, I don't know. I stay at Airbnb. I don't know. You know, it's like, if it was a snowbird situation, I wouldn't care. If it were a 365 day year, maybe like it.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
Thank
That's
you.
all anecdotal.
I think, I think we can try and dilute the situation, but I think there are very real residential impact. I think we have neighbors who have definitely had their quality of lives changed by having an Airbnb near them. And they have come forward and been very thoughtful and respectful of the community and what they want, that they want to have safety in their homes. They want to feel that they have the community that they bought into and that they chose. And you build a community by making good decisions. And, the decisions we make can also like totally chip away at having a strong community.
And it
So that's
also-
why I think, that is why I think it is very important that we take this seriously and not just, you can try and cross-cut data in 1,000 different ways to diminish the impact of the feeling of the community and the feeling on these streets. There are, when, all summer long you're having, you have parties and things like that that are happening, or loud, gatherings that, prohibit you from having your windows open. You have Airbnb stayers who accidentally go to the neighbor's house and, start to try and get in their back door because they had the address wrong. And these people have a brand new baby. You have, I get calls. I know Commissioner Schmier gets calls all the time about the one on Wellesley. And I can hear it from where I am. And those are things that it's like, this is a newer issue. This is a newer business model. And we have to look at, is that right for our community? Because we are zoned residential and it will impact property values for homes around that,
And I guess from my perspective,
as well as the feeling of their
sure.
community.
I guess from my perspective, my only concern is that whenever we attempt to regulate ourselves to zero, the number zero, we create people that are disappointed that we didn't get to zero.
Right.
So I think there's a number greater than zero. I don't know what that number is. Maybe we come to some other number than what was presented in December. But zero is a hard number to regulate to and to keep people happy. We know zero is, it's almost impossible to count right now, let alone say that we're at zero. So that's my concern. I'm not at all dismissing the concerns that residents have said
Right.
that live near them. So what I've heard tonight is you don't have any more homework for them to do other than to talk about zoning. Have I missed something? I don't think so.
Is there room for public comments?
That's
why I came.
Oh, sure, please. Great.
Sure.
Yeah. Please.
Hi. I'm Jacqueline Hand on Hanover. I'm an emeritus professor of property and environmental law at University of Detroit. And I began about 6 months ago looking at issues of over-tourism, particularly the impacts of short-term rentals. And again, we're not Paris or even London, but the destruction of community is palpable. Almost everywhere where they take hold, they destroy. Anne has articulated so well the problems that it in fact creates. And I checked, I think, the proposal that Mr. Need made, and I was very impressed with the attempted regulations proposed. This is a commercial entity, property. I know we have limited commercial zoning. Michigan's Court of Appeals decided in 2017 that in fact short-term rentals are commercial entities. So it's fine if somebody wants to buy or construct a building within the current commercial district. That's consistent with the various policy provisions. Also, and by very definition as an academic lawyer, I'm not as expertise, but my memory is that the concern about existing ones, that Michigan provides for amortization of nonconforming uses. I could be wrong about that, but that in terms of the longer concern, thinking long term, and as I hear this discussion, what I've never heard is anything that suggests that there's any benefit to this community to allowing this sort of activity. I don't see any benefit. Certainly, I'm well aware of the needs to avoid litigation. If at all possible, if it's provided for in a commercial, it's already been defined in Michigan as a commercial activity. I mean, the nuisance concerns, I mean, it seems to me that, not to be critical, but I'm a professor, so I'll take a little privilege, is to a certain extent you're talking across purposes. There's two issues. There's the nuisance factors. And the point is made, well, permanent residents or long-term rentals can be a nuisance. I hope I'm not to my neighbors, but it's certainly possible. But those, in fact, can be dealt with, but even dealing with that, if it's a one-off and somebody leaves the next day, well, but there's no commitment. The real damage is to the community and to the culture. Not having, again, neighbors vary in degrees of closeness over time, but having essentially, next thing is, what if somebody wants to run a car repair out of their garage? They've got the skills. There's only one person coming in at a time to bring in something. In effect, a short-term rental is exactly the same thing. Now, if for some reason you all or the community decides that some sort of short-term rental, to be honest, I think simply acknowledging that it's a commercial activity and limiting it to commercial areas is the simplest way and is much less, again, I'm an academic, I'm not a litigator, much less subject to litigation. One thing that has been done in New York City is that short-term rentals are only allowed if the owner of the property is within the property, which is originally what Airbnb was, is you come in and you sleep on my couch or you do on the bedroom. I think I agree that it would be difficult to distinguish between, is this one person who lives in Royal Oak that buys as an investment property here or a hedge fund, but nationally there's a huge problem not even dealing with short-term rentals, with hedge funds buying up 30, 50 properties, driving up housing costs. There is a concern. One of the joys about Pleasant Ridge, and I've lived here 35 years, is the variety of housing. There's relatively small housing, there's middle level, there's quite elegant large houses. The long-term effect of this is likely to decrease property. I wouldn't buy a house that I knew had an Airbnb next door. Why would I? But it also knocks down generally affordability within the community. And if we want to keep having young families move in to keep the broad range of generational uses, long term, it's not an immediate effect, it's not going to be in the next 6 months. That will go against affordability because those folks can afford to pay more for those houses because they can, among other things, they can deduct things that you and I can't. So I would hope you would be really careful, that you would look into the impacts of these. I mean, obviously, we're not a major tourist. The one that always sticks in my head is in Lisbon, the Alfama is a 13th century Jewish community, long-term culture. Airbnb started there about 6 years ago. Now 60% of this properties are Airbnbs, and the community is destroyed. Now that's an extreme. It's not us. We're not a beach community, but we're also small, so a limited effect could have something much smaller is going to have bigger ripple effects in the community. So I think the main thing to keep our eye on is what possible benefit to this community, and I'm not talking just financial, but what possible benefit to the community there is to allowing this sort of activity, recognizing that, and I've been very interested in hearing the enforcement issues that you all have been discussing, some things that, but it appears that almost everything provides enforcement issues, and the more clear the limitations are, my sense is generally, and again, I'm not the expert, you've got a good expert here, the clearer, the more clear-cut it is, the easier enforcement is going to be. It's when you have nuances that there tends to be concerns with uneven enforcement and et cetera. So thank you. I know you all are exhausted with this topic. I came late because I left a meeting early because I really, really wanted to share this. If anybody's interested, I have articles about what's happened with short-term housing in cities all over the world, and not one of them is positive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think there are benefits that the community experiences occasionally from short-term rentals. Like there are residents that use short-term rentals as places to put their relatives when they visit. There are benefits, but the question is, do the benefits outweigh the things that could happen?
Oh,
And
actually,
so
one
that's
other point.
and that's
I'm so sorry, I'm taking your time. Is one alternative that I think is too messy is you can simply, rather than designating numbers, designate 2 weeks a year. Again, that raises enforcement, but that goes much more to the earlier model.
that's not
Frankly,
easy.
simply requiring that the owner meet the person and check them into the property. This anonymous people just showing up. But then again, the New York model has been in effect for about a year, and I think it's my understanding, and I haven't really researched, is simply generally requiring that the owner be in the property changes the whole dynamic. It makes it much more like the exception in the Dearborn ordinance for regular B&B. That's quite a different situation than we're talking about here. Thank you. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. That's okay. Thank you.
And one thing, just one thing we have to keep in mind, there's a lot of things you can require, but can you enforce it?
Exactly.
And a lot of these, New York and San Francisco and Lisbon, yes, clearly when you have tipping points, there's a big impact on those places. But they also have offices of Airbnb enforcement. I mean,
Right.
San Francisco has an Airbnb office, and we don't. So anything we do, I just have to say, anything we do has to be straightforward, clean cut, non-fussy, because we can't enforce some of these things. It's easy to say things, but it's harder to follow up on them. So please
Right.
keep that in mind.
And I told at a conference last month, former Mayor Adams of New York, I said, you have more people writing parking tickets than we have working for the entire city. So the things that are done in New York aren't necessarily applicable to the vast majority of America that is, in fact, every other city in America is smaller.
Right.
So.
And things like,
yeah.
not maximum number of nights per year. There's
Yeah.
no way we can
No.
enforce
We
that.
just can't
We
enforce
can't
it.
track that.
Yeah.
Whether you are a homeowner and, or this nuance or that nuance, it's
Or you
just,
check
it's
someone in.
just not going to work.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
keep it.
Simple.
Yeah.
Keep it. Yeah.
I like a couple of those points I had thought about also, and I'm really glad you brought them up, is because we are so small, the ripple effect is much larger impact on the city. But also, avoiding litigation is, I think a topic like this is something that is, I see a value to it. I see how Grosse Pointe Park also, or Woods.
One of the points.
One of
Yeah.
those points. They understand that too. And
So
keeping it simple.
moving forward, do we want to pursue not allowing these in single-family residential districts? And if so, then the next question is, do we want to do a total exclusion, or should we allow them in multiple family commercial R2 districts to ease the concerns about an exclusionary zoning? Really, that's the question I need answered tonight.
For me, I am not in favor of a total exclusion because I don't know how we do it. I am very uncomfortable that we pick a number 0 that will never be 0. So to pick some zones, some places where we think that it is less obtrusive to neighborhoods, then I think that is the way to go.
And you're suggesting commercial and R2? That's the R2 is, or is there a multi?
R2 is duplex.
Okay.
So you already have an expectation or pattern in the R2, the multiple family, and the commercial districts. All of those districts allow dwelling units, but not at a different than single family level. So I would suggest those would be the ones that we would look at allowing them.
I'm looking at the zoning map. Sorry, I'm not looking at
Yeah, and if we're doing an exclusion, so I like what Mayor said. My only consideration would be like if once in 50 years somebody wants to snowbird their house, like if there's a way to carve out institutional investors or.
How do we, how? What, I mean, we can say it, but I'd be really
I'm just-
curious how we enforce that.
We're noodling through this, so.
And then for those of you that would prefer not to have any, does the notion that there is a person that owns the house always in the house? Again, I understand the challenge of figuring out if they are always there. Does that make it feel better or not better?
Yeah, better.
I think, when you're saying, we can't get to zero, which I appreciate what the theory there. If you are aiming for zero, you're gonna get closer because you're gonna make it much less attractive to the investors, to especially something like the Fairwood one or the.
I wouldn't be concerned if we are banning these in single-family residential districts. I wouldn't be concerned about some of these other things we're trying to do about, the owner having to be there. If it's banned in single-family residential districts, haven't we addressed the root concern? So you'd be adding complexity and nuance to enforcement that we may not need.
So the non-conforming would, or what is it, existing non-conforming would stay, so the properties that would be grandfathered, then no new ones in the neighborhood, and then
Correct.
Airbnbs, et cetera, would be allowed in multifamily, R2, commercial. Okay.
And I imagine the ones that are registered. So we are already registered as rentals in some fashion and.
Yes. If you are illegally renting out your house on Airbnb without a landlord license, you don't have non-conforming protection.
I had not thought about it this way.
I should say, that's what I say.
Yes, I was just going to say, is a short-term
Let
rental.
me
So
confer with
ask
Greg
the crazy
Need.
question: is the short-term rental a rental?
Under our ordinance, yes. We have a,
And the December writing.
Landlord ordinance you're speaking?
yes.
Yes.
Yes, our landlord license currently encompasses,
Any rental,
Any
kind
rental.
of rental for any number of days.
right, so if you are renting your house either long-term or on short-term basis without obtaining a landlord license from us, you are in violation of our code.
Okay.
Now, let me, I have a plan for how we would do this if we go forward to actually implement it, and I would have to run through some of those details with Greg before. So I might be a little over my
I
skis
saw
on some
one
of this.
eyebrow
but-
go up.
Yeah.
May I ask about the grandfathering? Sure. My question about the grandfathering is
It's not grandfathering, it's non-conforming.
non-conforming. Okay, so, thank you. Current landlord license, they have to renew every 2 years.
Yes.
When they go to renew in the 2 years, are they still considered non-conforming, or do they then have to comply with whatever the new ordinance and zoning is when they go to renew? Because we are at that point, I imagine, going to edit our current landlord license to say 30 days. Like, we're going to have a distinction. So I'm wondering if when they go to renew, it then triggers it to the new rules.
The trigger, as long as they've established it when the zoning ordinance amendment takes effect, they can continue it. And if they have to get renewal license every 2 years, that's fine. They don't lose their non-conforming rights.
They don't lose their non-conforming rights. And-
Until they stop their license.
Stop or abandon,
Right.
or
License.
abandon the use.
Right.
However, the licensing ordinance, you don't have non-conforming rights in a licensing ordinance. So those regulations apply even to the existing short-term rental units within the city. So non-conforming is only a zoning protection.
Okay. And then my next question is that our current process for getting your landlord license is to have it inspected between each tenant, right?
No.
That's not in our.
Between each tenant, no. It's just when you renew the license.
Thank you. I thought it was between each. Okay, thank you.
And we have 3 licensed short-term rentals?
Well, we have that we know of frequently, and there are a couple others that pop up occasionally, and that's part of the challenge is you can search today and tomorrow and the other day, and sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. So it's hard to know exactly. There's 3 that are very frequently and commonly.
But I've asked it the wrong way. So we have 3
Active.
licensed rental properties that are short-term rentals.
Minimum, yes,
Okay.
that we know of.
There could be others.
Could be others.
Got it.
But
Okay.
those are, again, for us, we have to go on Airbnb and we have to search.
Yeah.
And then change the search and then change it
Gotcha.
again and then put in different parameters and then different dates just to have one or another pop up occasionally.
Yep, I get it. Okay, thank you.
I guess I know of 5 that are active enough. I mean, I'm still concerned that of the grandfather, of the, what is it? It's
Non-conforming.
non-conforming. I'm still concerned about that. I think it's, I know there are at least 5 that are fairly active. And I just think it's tough. I think it's, so that's where I'm still sort of,
You would prefer that to be 0?
yeah.
Okay. Anything else for Jim or Greg? Last call from please.
Just wanted to ask if the non-conforming aspect of things, does that stay with a owner, or does it stay with the
Runs
property?
with the property.
So,
Oh.
so-and-so LLC sells for a quick claim deed of $1 to XYZ LLC, and the non-conforming stays valid. They have to relicense their rental at that point.
I would have to look and see if change of ownership triggers anything with a landlord license in our ordinance way it's written now. I don't know offhand.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
The non-conforming use, if it ceases for a period of 6 months or more, then it's gone. So that's another detail of enforcement that we'll have to sort out.
The use as far as if, like, what does use mean?
Exactly.
And there has to be something in addition to just the passage of time. There has to be something that demonstrates that the owner doesn't intend to use it. If they simply decide, for 6 months I'm not gonna rent it, but then I'm gonna crank it up again, and they don't take any action to actually abandon their use, then they likely can continue the nonconformity despite the passage of time.
And it could just be that landlord or the short-term rental licenses have to be renewed every 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone sells one of these properties, it can pass, that nonconformity can
Correct.
pass
It
to,
goes with the property. It's like a deed restriction. It goes with the property and
It's like
survives anyway.
some of our existing duplexes that are in single-family zones.
Mm-hmm. Yes, please.
Sorry, Danny at Fort Kensington. So I live across from Colby's property, and to start off, Colby's awesome, and he's one of the closest community members we have because he's consistently at the Airbnb. Knowing that non-conforming status could change to someone should Colby sell that house, as someone who lives across from that, I would absolutely not be okay with that. Just putting that out there, as someone who lives next to one, that would be horrible because I would not know who'd be coming into that community that Colby has provided would immediately go away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have, any last words before I've forgotten what the last thing is. It might just be
Clear as mud.
Managers.
city manager's report.
Do we have any direction, or are
Would
we
you-
just kind
is
of
there any-
dotting?
One person that said allow in certain zones, another one that said
So-
0, but I don't know.
We need
for everybody else.
Definition and
No, we need a motion.
even
If
so,
you are
so
prepared.
if I may,
Yeah. Otherwise,
I'm not.
is there any other information that you need or that you wish to pass to Greg or Jim? To, I guess we're deciding on one or two things, right?
or nothing.
Or nothing.
Right.
Right.
Deciding on, yeah.
So for me, I would really, before we moved forward with a motion on what to do, I would really like to understand the issue about I called them clearinghouses. I don't know what else to call them. I would really like to know if there's any
Short-term rental
platforms, whatever they are,
that's the term.
what, if anything, can be done to manage the short-term rental platform? Because I think there is a lever there that if we go down the route of of locations, I'd kind of want to do something there. If the number were 0, it wouldn't matter. It's just they don't get to list them. Actually, we didn't get to say that. We haven't described a penalty to if they list it because they didn't know we don't allow them. Yeah. Sorry.
And this may be way too future-proofing, but does it, as Commissioner Schmear's point about lawsuit avoidance, like getting a ballpark and baking that into next year's budget, is that even way too future-proofy, or is that legit to consider? Like,
Well, how wacky are you planning on getting?
well, I don't know. I mean, if we're just doing big round, let's say $500 an hour times 1,000 hours, $500,000, or is it half of that?
So-
250,000. I've been like at work. I don't know.
And laugh off one of those zeros to get close to an hourly rate.
So yeah, exactly. Like, help us get into a ballpark. What's the number? Is it 50? Is it 250? Is it?
Litigation.
Yeah. Okay. So like that would be helpful to know.
Yes, it'll
Oh my
all be-
goodness.
Yeah, there we go. What are we talking
So,
here?
Do you work for a water company by chance?
So I may have missed this, but I'm sorry. Are any or most of you comfortable with making a decision tonight or not making a decision? Is there still more that you want to noodle over?
There's more. I don't myself don't need any more information at this moment, but I don't feel comfortable at this point. I need to spend a few days.
Because right now we're
Processing a lot of this
suggesting there's
information.
nothing for them to do for the next
Right.
month.
Now,
Well,
We
except
could-
to address your
Thank you.
question on the platform.
right.
Okay.
And we can work on amending the ordinances that have been presented to you and bring those back in some way. Because obviously, I mean, those have to be reviewed and vetted before we start the approval process on ordinances.
And there are pieces that will change regardless of
Right.
that.
So if you would
zoning
like
and
us to prepare some ordinances for you to look at based on some of these options, or an option we've discussed tonight, we can do that. You still have every opportunity to discuss that next month, or we just come back and pick up the discussion next month, and then,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I am leaning, but I don't even want to commit myself that much, but maybe leaning towards, the zoning, which kind of protects us from future litigation. So, that, but again, I'm not willing to commit, but I would like, yes, if having it kind of an ordinance draft created, I would love to see it, but I also am okay holding off if we want to spend some more time internally
other.
considering.
I prefer having some time.
Okay.
To
Okay.
make the motion that we have some time.
All right. So I don't think we need a motion.
Do you need a motion for the other things that you guys understand
No,
that
I
we
don't
want?
think so. I
Okay.
Thank you.
Take a look at that.
All right. So thanks everyone for your input tonight.
It has been
It's-
very helpful.
It is one of these topics where, because of the impact to the community, and quite transparently, we're not all on the same page on the final solution. That we want to take some time to just get to the right answer, and that's what we're here for. So, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
For
you.
all your work on this
Yeah.
and input.
All right. City managers report.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Sorry I didn't say that to everyone at the beginning. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions about anything happening around town, as always, happy to answer, but nothing specific.
I do want to call out Brylar today, getting out there and getting more of those leaves. I mean, I saw them on the east side today, scraping up more leaves, which was awesome.
It wasn't on their own initiative, I'll tell you that much.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
City
Jim.
manager.
Thank you for the urging.
Yes, thank you for the.
Because I kept seeing those piles, I'm like, what are these piles doing?
Yeah.
When I saw the trailers, like, that trailer doesn't
Yeah,
look like a
keep
winter
sending them
trailer.
weather reports.
Yeah.
That's
well,
amazing.
thank
Thank
you for
Yeah.
getting them because it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great today.
Thank you.
It's been a weather year.
It has.
It's been a weather
Oh my
year.
gosh, it won't stop.
And it's
Yeah.
only the, what is it, the 13th?
The 13th.
So, all right. Well, any other business? Anything to mention?
Um,
feel like I'm
Women's Club
forgetting
is having
something.
trivia on
Yes.
Friday, the 23rd. If anybody really loves trivia and you want, we're having a very fun trivia party that because of a foundation auction item on the 31st. So if anybody's really interested, it's a really great trivia guy. Reach out to me, and it is January. I don't know what else is going on. Read the Ridger. Chris knows.
Polish nails.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Forever.
laugh again. All right. I think we're ready to adjourn then. Motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. That was awesome.